I guess what we're really talking about here, first off, is this beautiful brand new single with "Carry You," and I guess to a certain extent the Bathing Beach EP that's on the way. But I'd like to start with a song because I think at this point calling your songs beautiful is getting redundant to a point because they all seem to be very, very pretty and just and I know the word cinematic gets thrown a lot around with you, but let's talk about that song. Can you tell me at least a little bit about what the story is behind this single?
The single is it's an extension of the whole EP, really, I guess. I mean, the kind of way I've been saying it is it's kind of an expression of nostalgia, a wistful nod to a certain period of time, if that makes sense. I mean, there's a certain romance to it with the strings I was trying to create, which is something I've never done before, recording strings. So that's exciting for me as a producer. But yeah, it's all about a place, really, that I went about 5-6 years ago now. And it's all written in hindsight to what things were like when I was there. Vaguely put, I mean, if that's an okay description for you.
Well, I mean, you're what, early mid-20s at this point?
I'm 25, yeah.
Yeah, so I figure that seems to be around the time that we all start getting nostalgic. I'm 35, I'm 10 years older than you, but I remember especially my mid-20s, like that was the point I really started reaching back to figure out those moments in time. And
of course, I think that's become relevant for me. I mean, it was basically, I went to New York, upstate, for like 9 weeks in 2011, and kind of it felt like a turning point in my life, really. Just a lot of things changed for me while I was there. It was the first time I'd kind of been anywhere kind of like that on my own, and just making new friends, having new experiences, and then kind of coming home from that, things just felt different and never really felt the same. And yeah, it's kind of what fueled the whole Novo Amor thing anyway. I mean, most of my songs are about that period of time. So I kind of need to find something else to write about, really. Yeah.
You're going to have some more life experiences.
Yeah, I know. I will. I guess I got to do one of those typical tour albums or whatever on the road. Yeah. I don't know.
Well, about those strings then, recording strings for the first time. I mean, you decided you wanted them on there. How difficult was that for you to learn? Because that's a big undertaking.
Well, like I was really into film scoring when I was kind of early mid-teens. It was something which I really wanted to do. I was kind of adamant I was going to be a film score composer. I was reading books about it. I was ripping trailers off YouTube and rescoring them with these kind of like virtual instruments and making these big arrangements. And it was only after I went to the States and came home that songs became more important to me lyrically. So I started wanting to write things for myself rather than for picture. So, I mean, a lot of the arranging side of things has kind of been with me for a long time. It's just I've never kind of incorporated it into kind of songwriting before. Mm-hmm. So I've got a good friend of mine who plays strings, so he kind of came over and we just set up some mics, and I had like a vague idea and we just laid it down, and it was like, why haven't I done this before? This is great. So kind of going forward, it's something I really want to do, is get more people in the room trying things, because so far everything's just been me on my own. And kind of, I don't know, at a certain period of time, it was great to be on my own making music, because it was really like a cathartic experience. It's not necessarily like that anymore, and it was just a new way to kind of release things and to keep it exciting for me, I guess.
And I know that probably makes sense why you've been working with Ed Tullett as much as you have. I mean, you guys have your own EP on the way, right? Or is it an album?
It's a full album, actually, which is kind of weird, seeing I haven't done my own debut yet. So I mean, he's a very enthusiastic person, and we wrote a bunch of songs together and started recording. The Foe was the first one we did about 3 years ago, or a bit less. And since then, we've kind of just been hanging out, recording stuff, writing things, and just made a good kind of relationship and working relationship. And we just have the same ideas of what we want to create. And he's not like, he's someone who's just so into music and doesn't care about going out with friends or drinking or anything like that. He's just all music. So this is kind of perfect person to be around. So I think that's how we've ended up with a full album's worth of stuff. It's kind of it means I've had to put my debut on hold, but that's kind of fine. I mean, it'll come.
It's going to make an interesting story in the future. Like I'm seeing this whole story from the future, looking back at this point of how it's going to be written, and then you had your debut wasn't your debut, and et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, I don't want it to be seen as my debut, so. I don't know what's going to happen. And like my booking agent I'm trying to work out how we're going to tour it as well. It's all really crazy.
Yeah.
So,
is there a reason why you've been sort of a singles man at this point? I was kind of wondering, is it because you take your time in your writing, or is it just really selective in what gets released, or is it, I don't know, marketing?
It's because I kind of like doing things on my own and for myself in a way. It's kind of a tough one. I'm very particular with what I put out, and I'm also kind of perfectionist with my recording. And seeing as I'm a multi-instrumentalist, songwriter, and producer, I don't have anyone kind of saying, "Yeah, we'll do this song, we'll produce this song, it'll be great." It's just kind of me sat on my own, trying to make things and hoping I like them, and then throwing them away when I don't. So, kind of in the last year, I've probably made kind of an album and a half's worth of stuff which just hasn't got used and it's not got finished, which kind of frustrates me. And it's kind of the hardest part about this for me is feeling like I constantly have writer's block. And I think that's probably why I don't have more songs out. It's kind of, I guess, a marketing thing as well. I mean, not on purpose. I mean, it's just simple for me to make a song and kind of put it out and kind of see what people think of it. I've never been one who, listens to an album getting really excited. I've kind of find an artist and listen to them over and over again. But I just like singles. I mean, it's quite narrow-minded in a musical sense to just want to do singles, but it's kind of just how it's happened, to be honest. I'm going to do an album, so don't worry about that.
I mean, I'm not complaining. You've made the singles count, and I mean, that's, as a music fan, that's how we listen to music too. You find your favorite song, and then you listen to your favorite song, and if you're only putting out quality songs, then maybe you're playing the odds that they're all going to be favorite songs to someone. So
that's kind of what I'm thinking. I'd rather put out one good song than like 3 or 4 mediocre songs. Yeah. So, I mean, I guess I'm just hoping to get to the point where I have an album of like 10 great songs, and there's no filler on there. So,
well, what else can we expect from the EP beyond "Carry You"?
There's a lot more of the kind of romantic string stuff on the last song, "Embody Me." It's kind of like a closing for the EP, which I quite like. It's got Anchor on it, which has already been released, but I'm kind of putting it out with a new label to put Anchor out on my own, which is kind of another reason why I just have singles, because I've been self-releasing stuff, because I did have a label from Norway in 2014, but it just wasn't really going how I wanted, to be honest. So I kind of just started doing it on my own. But there's kind of slightly more upbeat stuff on it, I think. There's still kind of a bit of bleakness in the lyrics, but
bleak lyrics
I think
and bleak
production-wise, I think production-wise, it's a step forward from my last EP. I think I've spent a lot more time thinking about what I'm doing rather than just doing it and then putting it out. Yeah, which is what the last EP felt like.
Well, I've really enjoyed everything that I've heard so far, so you've got me excited about this EP. That's the main point. Don't think that I'm grilling you on saying more music now, because I'm
no, it's fine.
Yeah, really more so
it's
just
fine.
thanking you for
like
music.
Well, every time I put out, like, so I've done the EP 3 years ago, then I put out 5 singles since, and every time I put out a single, people online like, "Oh, yay, an album's coming," or "I hope this is an album," and now I am releasing a body of work and it's not an album. So it's just, I feel bad.
No, but you got the Ed Collaboration record on the way too. So
it's slightly different.
Yeah,
I mean, it's slightly different. Like I said, I wouldn't want that to be my debut because it's a bit more alternative and rocky. The way I feel about it is that mine and Ed's record is a bit more thought about, and mine's a bit more kind of felt about, if that makes sense.
Oh yeah.
Like a lot more thought has gone into like sharing ideas, instrumentation, and just playing different things, and just kind of spending time layering and evolving these songs. Whereas kind of my music is, I've had something I wanted to express, and I've kind of laid it down into music, and there hasn't been that much change over the period of creating the songs. Whereas mine and Ed's, they've changed quite a lot. Kind of like Kanye's album, how it's ever changing.
Well, no, that's got to be nice, because I mean there is a sound to Novo Amor. There's you. I mean, you've created a bit of a hallmark at this point. So having something like this with Ed's got to be nice, because if you find yourself working on another style, it seems like you have an outlet for that if you wanted to.
Yeah, that is kind of a really good upside to this. The fact that I'm going to be able to release some different styles of music, which maybe they're in the same vein. It's a bit more rhythmic as well. You'll hear some kind of heavy stuff on it. There's songs which is like, it's just 5 different parts with 3 different time signatures across it all. So
wow.
It's just us messing around, I guess. I hope people like it.
I'm looking forward to it. I really appreciate you taking the time today, Ali. It was great talking to you, and I'm looking forward to, as I said, all the music coming out, whenever it comes out.
Yeah. So, yeah, great. It was great to talk to you, and thanks for calling.
All right, take care.
All right, cheers, man.
Bye.